Hello. In this video we're going to look at the verification engine that's built into Skillsfile, and first of all I'll show you how access to this tool is permitted. I'm going to log in as a super user. I'm going to go to address book, and the actual person, the verifier we're using for this example, is at J. Anderson. We're going to go into their address book entry, and as mentioned in one of the other videos, down the bottom of their address book entry is the options or actions that you allow or give permissions to for this person to be able to do in the system. Now, to go for the verification engine, or as it's known, the center configuration sampling, is a tick box in here. If a verifier does not have that, or someone does not have that, they will not be able to go in and set the configuration. But for this example, we're going to permit this verifier to have this permission. We'll save that. We will now go into the actual system as the verifier. We go to Tools. You'll now see they have access to it. You also notice the numbers 3, 5 and 6. That means there are, within the Tools option, other options 1, 2 and 4 which are not accessible by this verifier. But we're going to go into the center configuration. Now this is how the system knows what to present to the verifier to look at. So whereas on a paper-based system, a verifier has to work out what's going to be sampled, what type of evidence, be it candidate evidence, observations, professional discussions, etc., and what units they want to look at. This system does it for you by setting up this engine. And I'm just going to take you through each option. So we have days between an interim sample and the days between a final sample. This is currently set at 15 days each. So what it's saying is there will be 15 days gap between interim samples and final samples. If you wanted to change that, you'll just click the edit and change that and save. We've saved it to 10 days for interim. The interim sample period, previous and final, below it, is how far it will look back for what needs verifying. So this system is set up to look back to the previous 250 days as to what needs verifying. Now, it may be a case that you want it to look back throughout the year, in which case you can go in, click edit on both of those and click save. So now it's going to look back for the previous year what needs verifying, be it an interim or a final. The next two options for interim and final is when the tasks are due, and you've got 7 and 10. Now the 7 and the 10 signify how much notice before it's due that the IV or IQA will be notified. So for interims in this example, he's going to be notified 7 days before it's due, and for finals he's going to get 10 days notice. And you'll see here it says sampling percentage. Now this works along with the actual sampling percentage set under each assessor. As you may remember, in the previous video, under each assessor, and I'll take you into that, under the address book, if we look at an assessor, and we'll look at the one we've been using throughout these videos, under the address book entry for them, down the bottom, we had a sampling rate, a percentage. So what this assessor is, as they've experienced, 10% of their work is going to be sampled, and that works in conjunction with the center configuration. So although it's going to sample 10% of that person's work that we just looked at, overall the whole centre is going to have 10% sampled. So it works it out based on the centre as a whole and the individual. So if you have a new assessor where it's more likely to be 100% sampled, it will also factor that in via their address book sampling percentage. So both options work together to present to the verifier what needs to be verified. Next two will just show you the dates when the system's last run. And the last but one entry on here is the partial evidence percentage. And this is set at 25%. What this means is previously in Skillsfile, when an assessor marked the evidence against the criteria, if they marked it as partial, it didn't go towards the percentage bar that shows how much work's been done. And this was found to be to possibly demotivate learners. So an option was put in where you can allow a percentage of the partially completed evidence to be added to the green bar. So for example, if a learner had uploaded quite a lot of evidence, but it only had been ticked as partial by the assessor, on the previous system, the green bar wouldn't have moved. Whereas now, if they upload a lot of evidence and it's mapped by the assessor and it still is all partial, on this example, 25% of that partial will be recorded on the green percentage bar as being to help it grow. If you wish to change this, again, there's an edit option where the partial percentage can be changed. But naturally, you wouldn't want this to be too high, otherwise a learner could think that the portfolio is much further along than it actually is if most of their work has been partial. But it's there to help encourage the learner. The last option is a profiling tool that's actually in Skillsfile. This again was in the original launch of Skillsfile, very much as a form of finding out what the learner already knew and if they had evidence for it. Based on the feedback, the option was given to toggle this on or off, and it is always toggled to no unless you want to change it to yes. The reason being that initially, if the person completes a profile where it asks for evidence and you ticked yes, it would then ask you what evidence that would be, which could generate a number of tasks for the learner. So if they put down that they could yes 10 times, and yes, they could provide evidence 10 times, as soon as they logged on, it would show they had 10 tasks. So it was felt, going by the feedback from users, that this will be an option where you can opt in or opt out. And this is dictated, say, by whoever has control of the center configuration tool. So based on this information, this is what it will show to the verifier based on the percentages and values you have set, what needs to be verified, when and who by. And I'll show in another video how this is represented when an IV logs in or an IQA logs into the system. Thank you. Bye.